Good day, Professional Skills 2 students. This is lesson 15, and in today's class we're going to be talking about the concept of politicking. Now this is quite a long section, there's quite a lot of information in it, so I'm going to go through everything quite quickly. This means that you need to make sure that you've read through the chapters in the textbook closely, and if you have any questions, please get in touch, either on the discussion board or via email, because you might have the same questions that other people have too. So we're going to discuss the idea of politicking today, and what this is defined as is the actions that you can take to attempt to influence the distribution of advantages and disadvantages in your organization. In a lot of ways, politicking is a combination of a lot of other professional skills that we've covered in previous lectures. And if you've heeded these messages, you might find that you're already engaging in professional skills. The topics that we're going to cover today are assessing office politics, deciding on action, and politicking strategies. Please do the self-assessment exercise on page 189 of your text, and pause this video so that you can do that, and then answer these questions that follow. First of all, how do you think politicking and manipulation differ? Could you think of a single sentence that could encapsulate this difference? And then I just want you throughout this course, throughout this lecture, and throughout your experiences in the workplace, consider how integrity and politicking might be linked. So the skill concepts we're going to cover today involve the way that we were brought up, the way that our parents told us to be in the world versus how we might have to be in the place of work. So the good traits that our parents taught us don't always get the best results in the world of work, unfortunately. So this doesn't mean that we need to turn into Donald Trump to get ahead. I'm not telling you to stand on people in order to get to the front of your business. But I am telling you that everything in business, everything in the professional world needs to be very carefully measured. And I've said this a couple of times before. You need to think about every single one of your actions beforehand, and then you need to spend a good deal of time reflecting on your actions in the workplace after they have happened. So during your experiential learning, you need to go home every single day and think about what could have gone better, what went well, those kinds of things. I always encourage students to keep a diary or a journal, and it doesn't have to be very long. You can keep it on your phone, just to jot down the experiences that you had in your experiential learning, and comment on whether you did well, if you could have done better, those kinds of things. So what this often means is keeping your emotions to yourself and only confiding in the right people. You have to look at the person that you are right now in college, and then the person that you want to become. And we've spoken quite a bit about values and morals already, because these do play quite a large role in politicking. So what is politicking? Politics relates to who gets what, when, and how. And politicking is the actions that you can take to influence who gets what, when, and how. So very different to things like goal setting and delegation. We don't often really discuss politicking. But really, in a management situation, it's really important that people do discuss politicking in a very overt fashion. Because often what managers do is not really politicking. So things like political incompetence, political naivety, the inability or unwillingness to perform required political tasks, these are often a source of management failure. So you can do it on both sides of the coin, both as an employee and as a manager. So why do organizations have politics? And I think every single organization, no matter what it is, they all have politics. Think of the BMH politics that you have experienced in your time here. Maybe you've picked up on politics in management. Maybe you've picked up on the politics of a specific class. Maybe there's certain groups of people who don't get along. Maybe you think certain people are treated better than other people. So just think of the politics in all of the groups that you belong to, because I think wherever humans are, politics follow. Organizations are made up of individuals, and those individuals form groups, and these groups and individuals have different sets of values, goals, and interests. And we discuss this in communication across cultures too. So what this does is it sets up potential for conflict over a couple of different things, mostly resources, things like budgets, space allocations, project responsibilities, and salary adjustments. These are all examples of resources in an organization. So think about this following scenario. You join an organization with another person who, like in the last class, appears to be very similar to you. Same age range, race, gender, similar qualifications. But after a short meeting, initially, you are allocated the smaller, worse office. What would your thoughts be in this time? Please feel free to jump on the discussion boards and post your answers there. So again, why do organizations have politics? Even if resources are abundant, we would still have politics. And that's because all resources can't be abundant. Somebody might get more praise than you, and you might end up resenting them for that. But yes, always resources are limited. So there's going to be some kind of competition between employees that might not be in possession of all the facts. Employees don't always know what their managers do. So in the previous slide, the employee who got the larger office could have done so for many, many different reasons that you weren't aware of. Just take a moment to think of what some of these reasons might be. So the first thing when we're talking about politicking is that you need to do a political diagnostic analysis. Fancy term for take a look around and notice what politics are going on in the background. So first of all, and a great first step in any organization, is to assess your organizational culture. What characteristics does your organization say are valuable or desirable and which are not? What's the company culture? This is a really good question to ask during your interview. Definitely something that you should think about asking. Do they encourage risk-taking? Do they encourage conflict? Do they allow you your autonomy, or do they micromanage you? Do they reward, or do they punish initiative? These all add up to what a company's culture is. A good step with this is to always learn about a company's KPI system. This stands for Key Performance Indicators, because this will give you a starting point. Next is to assess the power of others. What is the power differential? Please research what this means if you are unsure. So which individuals are powerful in a given situation? Are the same individuals always in power, or do they swap around? What this means is that initially you're going to have to do a lot of observation and reflect on the behavior of others. An important thing is to please learn to pick your battles in a workplace. If you fight for everything, what is really important to you? If you argue with everything, people are going to think that you are just arguing for the sake of arguing. The next step is to assess your own power. What is your personal power level? Does your position or the company's position give you power? And where do you stand relative to those who hold power? So you can take this, assessing the power of others, and as well as assessing your power, and you could make a little power hierarchy and question, why do you have that power? Do you have that power because it's your own personal power? Or is it your position in the company, or is it the company's position? Where are you gaining your power from? Do you have the same level of power in your home, in your friendship group, etc.? And please read through figure 1 on page 193. If you have any questions, get in touch. Does your personality give you power or take it away? And this is kind of what I was touching on in the last slide. So do you naturally get along with others? Or are you a Sheldon Cooper, like from the Big Bang Theory? The issues of politicking are actually covered quite extensively in the Big Bang Theory. All 4 main and male characters are often passed over for opportunities because they are too abrasive and they don't stand up for themselves when they should. This is kind of 2 sides of the coin. So for homework, please find an episode of Big Bang Theory. Try to see through the sexism and poor relationship modeling, because they are really bad at this. And find examples of politicking that have gone wrong. And I think that you'll be able to find an example of this in every single episode that you watch. Next, we're going to discuss some general guidelines for political action or for politicking. So the first thing that you should do is to frame your arguments in terms of organizational goals. Cover up your own self-interest. Yes, we always have self-interest. Everything we do has got self-interest, but try not to make it all about you, because then people are going to think that you're selfish and you're not thinking about the organization. And this can also come off as unprofessional. Next is to practice impression management. And this is something that I really want you to all think about in the next couple of days, weeks, months. What is the impression that you give across? Remember, I talked quite extensively about being measured in your actions. The impression that you give across is 100% within your control. Dressing professionally means different things for lots of different organizations, but being clean and being neat will always show professionalism. You don't have to dress expensively, but you do have to dress neatly, and you do have to shower once a day, twice a day, preferably. And this is all part of impression management. What kind of impression do you give people? And that's just with your dress. What kind of impression can you give people with your behavior? Because that is much more important. Next is to utilize social networking. And I mean actual social networking, not online social networking. So what is social networking? Other than a communication structure that is made up of people connected by common interests. This can include online social networking too, but I want you to really think about networking in person. How can you engage with people? And maybe this does mean via email, but with the people in your organization specifically. Next is to try to gain control of organizational resources. And I don't necessarily mean space and money. I mean things like knowledge and expertise. These are really, really great examples, because if you are an expert on something, that makes you indispensable. Which leads to the next point, which is make yourself appear indispensable. Develop expertise through experience, through further learning, have a contact list, and always be the solutions person. Have a solution for everything. Any problem? Give a solution. Don't be the problems person. You don't want to be that person. Next is to be visible. Bring your accomplishments to the attention of others. Give progress reports. Say hello to everyone at work. Yes, be that person. Say hello to everyone you pass. You never know who they are. And introduce yourself widely. These are all great tips for your experiential learning too. Tip number 7 is to get a mentor. This person will then stand up for you in meetings, relay inside information to you that you might not otherwise get. We've spoken about mentoring extensively already. Make the right friends and develop allies. So cultivate contacts with influential people above you. Make sure that you avoid people with bad reputations, which is the next point. Don't develop allies who have a reputation for avoiding work, submitting poor work, always being late, etc. Always try to support your boss, and hopefully your boss will support you too. Obviously, if you go against them, that's also fine, but you need to go against them respectfully and in the right manner. So now we're going to discuss a couple of political strategies. First is reasoning. Use facts and data to present your ideas logically. Like we already said, frame them within organizational goals. Next, be friendly but genuine. People can see through this really quickly. Don't ever compliment anyone's appearance. It's inappropriate. Don't do it in the professional setting of work. Next is coalitions. Work in teams to come up with solutions for everyone. Bargaining. Use your negotiation skills, which are coming up shortly, to your advantage. Higher authority. Gain the support of your superiors. Assertiveness. Stand up for yourself at the right times. Don't be a pushover. And sanctions. Remember to make use of rewards or punishments if you are available. Always do some kind of cost-benefit analysis of your behaviors. So always assess the costs of an action in comparison to the benefits and decide for yourself what is more important. Alright, so we have come to the quiz. Please complete the quiz on page 198 of your textbook and do the exercises on page 199 to 201. And answer the question of who do you think deserves the truck? How would you handle this exercise? Following that, please complete all exercises on page 209 to 210. Please pause the video and come back when you're done. So to summarize what we've discussed so far, an effective politica assesses all bases of power, frames arguments in terms of organizational goals, practices impression management, gains control of scarce resources, uses networking skills, is assertive and visible, is friendly, reasonable, and willing to bargain. Alright, in the next lesson we're going to be discussing leadership styles. This is a great section. Are you a natural leader? Do you consider yourself a natural leader? And what do you think the characteristics are that make someone a natural leader? Is it the person with the loudest voice or the strongest opinions? And are these people actually good leaders? So for all of this, please download the next set of slides, and I will see you all in the next lecture.